Hey you! So today we're going to be looking at a new manga release, which is 5 centimeters per second, which is a bunch of short stories, released 3. Before we begin, make sure that you hit that like button, you favorite the video, as well as subscribe. It helps the channel out and it will help it grow if you do these things, and it'll make me happy, make me smile. Please make me smile, although I'm going to be smiling a lot in this video. So let's talk about the general information. 5 centimeters per second is made up of 3 short stories, telling you about the love between Taiyaki and Akari, who met in school, they fell in love, and then Akari had to move due to her family. It's mainly about the distance between them and the love that they have. Other characters do come into it, mainly in the second story, which I kind of thought would be very interesting, but we'll talk about this in a bit. At the very beginning, Taki and Akari, they write to each other every single day. It's really, really nice, and it shows you that before social media, this was the way of doing it, of actually being like in a long distance relationship until they saw each other, and I generally kind of really like this. But as time goes on, communication breaks down between them, and it's kind of a heart-wrenching story when this happens. So let's talk about the special features. I was very surprised with this. I generally was, because normally you just get clean outro, clean intro, and then some trailers, and then that's pretty much it, and maybe some random stuff. But in this one, you got quite a few. You got the English credits, the teaser, a trailer, a storyboard in Japanese, which is about the film. So it's the film, but in storyboard mode, and I actually generally never really seen that, and I actually really liked it. You have a music video, and again, I'm really sorry if I badly pronounced this. Makoto Shinkai, I have butchered your name and I'm really sorry. And then you get the cast in Japanese talking about their experiences and about the whole thing, which is really nice. I generally would have liked an English cast as well, as just to throw a bit in there. Let's talk about the overview. As this opens up, Akari is turning around and explaining things. She's like writing to Taiyaki, and it feels like it's just one-sided. Like she's just writing to him and he's kind of not really paying attention, you know, but it's really nice to kind of see the overtone, how she sets up the story. You get really random cuts at times. So she'll be talking about something and it will jump to a different cut straight away over time. And that's not too bad. I actually liked it, but it was a bit kind of like, at the very beginning. When you rewatch it, you kind of understand it more. As mentioned, Taiyaki and Akari are the main people of the story. It all follows their love over a great distance. When watching the first story, you are very kind of like sympathetic, and you can actually really relate to Taiyaki. As I mentioned before, they meet at school. There are rumors that are being flung about saying that they're boyfriend and girlfriend. We find out that Akari is moving, and when she moves, they've not seen each other for a year, and they keep in contact with letter. And again, it's very weird seeing a story based like this where there is no social media, or when they go to texting much later on, it's flip phones. And if you've not had a flip phone, thank yourself lucky, because the old way of texting was annoying as hell. At the very first film, it's mainly voiceover. There's not really any kind of normal dialogue, which is a bit kind of weird. One thing that I do generally like is Taiyaki decides to go meet her. He's never been to that area where she's living, and he has to get the train. And as he's there, the train gets slower and slower because of a snowstorm. And I was just generally like, oh man, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. You know, at the point where you think that he's getting a break, and then he doesn't. And then it's like the train stops, the train isn't doing much. And I felt generally kind of like really saddened about this, because it shows you his struggle. He gets there in the end, which I really liked. But there's one part where he actually has a love letter for her, which explains all his feelings. And what happens is, as he's getting a drink from the vending machine, the letter falls out of his pocket and flies away. For me, I would have put that bad boy in my bag and made sure it stayed there. But you can see that he is really frustrated, because he spent 2 weeks writing this for her. Oh, it was so, like, it was very, oh. And then you find out that she's written one for him, but doesn't give it to him. You're like, oh. It's just a lot of story and heartbreak in this first one. And then they meet up, they share a kiss. They stay in a locked shed to talk for most of the time. You generally think that they would go back to the house or something, and he goes back the next day. I was like, wow, you couldn't stay there for a few days at least to actually really get there. But I think he's taking exams or he has school. But I would have gone, I'm not going to school because I'm stuck here where there's so much snow. We move on to episode 2, and this is when Taeyaki is still in high school. He's doing a few more things and actually doing like archery and stuff like that. We also have a new love interest, but this is kind of one-sided. This is Kanai, I think I got her name right, and she has feelings for Taeyaki because of exactly like he's dead nice to her, he's always there for her, and she just falls in love with him, and you see this kind of progression over time. The episode focuses mainly on her feelings for him, to the point where she's always walking home with him while she's spending as much time with him as she can, and this is kind of really nice. But you know that Taeyaki is still caught up on Akari. She's into kind of surfing and I'm guessing kind of sports. So after she goes surfing, she actually nails like a really big wave, and she's so pumped that the adrenaline is rushing through her veins, and she sees it as a sign to actually talk to Taeyaki and say, hey, I have feelings for you, I'm in love with you. But because she sees him over time with a face on, basically going like, oh, she decides not to. And when they're actually walking, they actually find out that there's going to be like kind of a space launch, and then all of a sudden when she sees that, everything becomes kind of clear, but she knows that he's really caught up on Akari. So she decides not to tell him about this, and you kind of think that you just go, Taeyaki, I've got feelings for you, you know, and really tell him, but she decides not, because he's so distant that he's so thinking about Akari all the time. So episode 3 is the kind of finale. This is the one that kind of really got me a bit, and I hope I got these all in order. Taeyaki is at his computer, he is doing work, and all of a sudden sees the cherry blossom petals come in and actually touch his hand, which then reminds him of Akari. As he's kind of walking, he sees Akari at the kind of passing him by the train. As he realizes who it is, he turns kind of back, and then we kind of jump to what Akari's been doing. So she's now getting married. She's moved on from Taeyaki and she's just carrying on with her daily life. And she starts remembering him because she found a letter that she wrote to him but never gave it him. Had loads of like her feelings, and it kind of reminded her of him. And it's kind of really a weird thing, but a good thing, because at the end of the day, I generally thought that these two would get together and the letters would be exchanged, or as a letter fell out from Taki's pocket, that she would find it at some point or it would be delivered, but no. So he then kind of jumps to Taki in his apartment looking outside. He then gets a text from his girlfriend, which at first I thought, because the way it was Akari, but it's his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, I think. She sends him a text saying that she still loves him and she's still there, etc, etc. Then this whole kind of monologue kind of goes through, and he decides that he's going to quit his job. He's going to stop it because he wants to go back to the past or something. He wants to kind of like focus that way. So he kind of walks into this like convenience store, sees like it's been set amount of time that the rocket or the spaceship went off into space that he remembers when he was with the other girl. We then get some voiceover again, and then it goes straight into like a music video, which then recaps the entire film, which I thought was a little bit pointless. You see that Taeyaki is being really mopey and he's not happy, and it really irritated me. So then when the music video finishes, we see that exact same moment with the train passing, and Takaki's like, oh, well, you know, I have a feeling that she's going to turn around. If she doesn't, then I'll move on, or I'll continue walking on. And when the train passes, she's not there, and he just walks on. That really irritated me, because if it was me, I would run back to her, not be like, oh well, looks like she's gone, and then, So then that's when the film kind of ends, and it ends with no proper conclusion, because if you've spent the past 2 films or short films thinking about her, and then you're just going, I don't care, and you walk away, it's like, no, that's not how this goes. So let's talk about the animation. The animation was, to me, surprisingly really well done. I really liked it. You can tell that this had a lot of time spent over it. It wasn't rushed. I think that even when you looked at as a way through, there was no kind of weird stuff, or it was kind of lazily done. You could tell this whole film had love put into it. One thing is, I don't like snow normally, but I really enjoyed the snow theme at the very beginning of the first film. I felt like this was very calming, that, you know, it showed the struggles, like there was nothing that was pushing him, but there was stuff in his way, but he would continue his way forward so that he would get through the snow and then get to Akari. But it was generally like you could really sympathize, and I liked the way that it came across, because when I was watching this over again, I actually enjoyed it more because I could see what he was doing and the struggle that he was going through, just so that he could get to the girl that he really loved. It also reminded me of how things slowed down. So it wasn't like in a rush, everything was quick, quick, quick. It was, the snow's here, it's gonna mess up your day, and it's gonna really put a strain on you. But if she's worth it, you'll get there. Although, one thing at the very end is like the next day, it's like, everything's clear, you can go forward. I was like, oh, okay, that's nice. The writing at the very beginning showed you that he was going to try and get there, that you had your goal, you knew how the story was going to progress, but then it throws like kind of a curveball, which wasn't a good curveball. It made me frustrated with how this was portrayed. So the writing between the characters was also fine. The second one with Kanai is that I would have loved it if she had said, yes, I have feelings for you. He had said, yes, I have feelings for you. And then in the third film that you saw the kind of Akari coming back or sending him a letter saying, hey, I'm getting married, I just want to say, hey, hope you're well. That sort of stuff I think would be really interesting. Or the fact is, like, Takai would have gone home originally and found like a load of letters from her, or that he had written to her. I would have really liked that more, because it would have shown more progression, and maybe they would have hooked up at the very end. The way that this was written, it felt like there was no conclusion. Even if you kind of thought, well, you know, he's given up on her, you know, his life's better. You have an entire like kind of 2 films or 1 and a bit showing that he is depressed and that he wants her, but he doesn't know how to deal with his feelings, or, you know, it just really randomly shows, and that's what I didn't like. Let's talk about the characters. The characters to me were really decent. I really liked Takai at first because it showed you that he was pushing forward. You kind of build more of a kind of connection with Akari though. Maybe it's just due to her voice at the very beginning, and that the way that she's moved on with her life, and that he's kind of still stuck. And I think at some point we can all relate to being stuck on someone for a long time, and then obviously getting over them much later on. When Takai loses his letter, that to me was like when he's like, no, and he starts like, I think, crying as well. But it showed you that true emotion, that he was gutted, and you kind of think, oh no, I really want Akari to read this. Does she read it? Does she find it? Does someone grab it and go, oh yeah, I've had this for X amount of years? And then it all gone at the end, go boom, but it didn't. I was like, oh okay. But I would have loved it if that happened. So what made this interesting for me? I have to admit, as I've said previously through this entire review, is his like kind of thoughtfulness, his kind of passion at the very beginning for Takai, and then Akari's one as well. I also like the fact that the Japanese trains in this anime, if you wanted to go through snow, it would still happen. But in Britain, one small snowflake, the whole thing shuts down. If you don't get that, that is a British joke. But yeah, I generally like the fact that I could relate to the train at least as well, like how Takai really kind of felt about it. But the one thing is, you saw how determined he was, and then he turned into a regular anime character when things don't go his way or something bad's happened and he's just moping about. I generally think that this could have been handled a lot better, and I think that when writing it, if I was there, I would say no, make them get together, or at least make them be regular friends at least, or that they'd visit each other and then you'd see the fun that they were having. But no, it's one of those, it goes from happy to sad really quickly. My final thoughts have always been in this video as I've been going on. I liked some of it, I generally did. I didn't like the way that Takaki felt much later on. I really wanted Takaki and Kanai to actually get together. I think that would be kind of interesting. And then obviously you see his girlfriend at the very end, which I don't think you don't get a name or something, or you hear it very briefly. You think that he would have been happy with her not being dead mopey all the time. I generally, that really did kind of irritate me. I generally thought that there was no conclusion. If people say, well, there is, because at the end of the day, he moved on at the very end. It's like, no, because to me, you spent the entire film going, if only she was here, or if only I could have her. And then it just changes. it feels a very rushed thing, and I felt like the writer, the creator, didn't have confidence in it, or this is how most Japanese like soap operas or kind of films regarding love kind of felt, so I wasn't too happy with it. Would I recommend this to people? I would, for the first film, because it was a generally really nice film. I would have loved it if it carried on like that and not kind of diverted to what it was. The animation was beautiful. I like the snow. I like the kind of feeling that it also portrayed, saying, hey, you want to get to your loved one, you have to work for it. I really like that. So yeah, I would definitely recommend checking it out. If you want to pick it up, if you want to pre-order, or if it's out now, depending on when you see this video, link will be in the description down below. So Rangers, what are your thoughts on this? What do you think about it? Are you kind of impressed with it? Would you miss it? What are your thoughts? Let me know down below in the comments, and if you've liked this video, like, favorite, comment, and consider subscribing. Click that notification bell to say like when there's another video uploaded. And as always, Rangers, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.